About a month and a half into the 2013 legislative session in Carson City, where lawmakers are working to pass and push bills for the eventual signing, at least they hope, on Governor Brian Sandoval's desk.
Recently, station owner Jim Rogers sat down with the governor. Today, the two talk about a program called Jobs for American Graduates that Governor Sandoval is working to implement in Nevada.
3 words for the next question: jobs for America's graduates.
We talked a few days ago about the importance of education, and something that's a priority for me has been getting Nevada back to work, as well as improving the delivery of education in our state. Approximately a year ago, I was at the National Governors Meeting, and I was introduced to Jack Markell, who is the governor of Delaware. And he was the national chairman of Jobs for America's Graduates, which is a program that seeks out the most at-risk kids at the most at-risk high schools, puts them in a classroom, case manages them, chats with them and to see what their career goals are, what they want to achieve, puts together a curriculum for them to follow that path. And they, in that state, had improved the graduation rate for these kids from a little over 50% to 90+%.
Wow.
So it's a fabulous program. So he said, well, Governor, why don't you have it in Nevada? And I said to him, good question. And I wanted to do a little bit more due diligence and see how legitimate it was. I discovered that this program exists in many of the other states. And I thought, if it can be that successful in these other states, why can't we have it in Nevada? So we decided to pilot some programs at 8 high schools throughout the state. And we're able to get some money through one of the state agencies, the Department of Employment, Training and Rehabilitation, and get some workforce development funds to get this up off the ground. And we put it in Dayton High School, a couple high schools in Washoe County, and the rest in Clark County. Cimarron Memorial, I believe, is one of those schools. And they've done just what I described. They have found these kids who have come from all different demographics. They come from all different backgrounds. It's very competitive, if you'll find, to get into these programs. There are approximately 30 to 40 of them. There's a specialist that stays in the classroom that follows each one of these kids, and we have what's called induction ceremonies. Each one of the kids and their families attend. And it's really moving, and it's very inspirational, because you see these kids. They may come from single parent households. Some of these kids that I've met are essentially had been, one of them, and I'll talk about this little girl. She was emancipated. Her parents didn't want her. She works the swing shift. She works from 3 to 11. She gets her homework done. She gets up the next morning, goes to school. She was going to drop out if not for this program, and now she's doing tremendously well. I talked to each one of the kids before these induction ceremonies and asked them, what do you want to be? One of them says, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be an interpreter. One of them even said, I want to be a battleground photographer. And so what this specialist does in the classroom is finds individuals or entities out there so that they can have an opportunity to learn this skill set. They make sure that they're on track with regard to their academics at the high school. The kids love that specialist, and I looked them in the eye just like you, and I said, well, what's the difference here? What's the so-called secret sauce that really has gotten you engaged once again? And they said, well, this teacher cares deeply about me and knows about me and knows my background, and so we're waiting to see how it comes out. In my budget, I've asked for $1.5 million to expand the Jobs for America graduate program even more to approximately 50 high schools. The last ceremony I attended with Dr. Jones, and he seemed to be very enamored about the program and very supportive. I think that it's something that's not going to be the magic bullet in terms of doing things, but it's certainly going to improve the graduation rates, and it means something very much important to each one of these kids who are in these programs.
When I was the chancellor for 5 years, I think the most depressing thing to me was I got the feeling that the public just didn't give a damn about education, and that it had been abandoned. And every time you talk to somebody about how important an education was, well, I could always go out on the strip and park cars and make $100,000 and after a while that gets very old. I have to tell you, Governor, I haven't seen anybody other than you that's really taken this under his wing to push it.
Well, I appreciate your saying that. And for me, we were chatting a little bit off camera. I've had an opportunity to visit over 200 schools, and elementary schools, preschools, middle schools, high schools, college, career schools, the universities, the community colleges. And I think there's a lot more momentum out there. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say what you said in terms of how people feel. When I talk to parents out there, they obviously want the best for their kids. There's a lot to be done, and right now we're still in an economic recovery, and that's one of the debates at the legislature right now. Is we talked earlier in the week about all-day K, and I'm trying to fund it so that we can get it at least half of the schools. There's some discussion of that, well, why don't we do it in all the schools? Well, there's a fiscal issue associated with that, and we're trying to do the best we can given the times that we're in. But I think there are a lot of parents out there that care deeply, the community, and the other priority for me is economic development, and to have a robust and healthy and strong state, we have to ensure that we have college graduates and career-ready graduates that are going to go into those medical fields and those technology fields and the logistics fields and all these different things that we're starting to develop. So, I'm hopeful that we can implement a lot of the things that I've talked about. We probably won't see the results for a few years. I'd love to see instant results, but as you know, as somebody that has been in education for your entire life, that it takes time for the seeds to be planted and for things to improve. But I'm very confident that if we can do some of these things, that we'll see the results down the line.
I have to tell you that I kind of lost all hope. I really did, Governor, and it was very depressing, and I'm delighted to hear you say this. Yeah. I really am.
Thank you. And
tomorrow, another question.
All right.
Thanks.